but focusing on what you had just missed is just causing you to miss more information. So this issue comes up a lot from non-native English speakers of all different levels, from beginner all the way up to some of the most advanced. And this is the issue of people saying, I can't understand every word that people say in business meetings, in movies, in TV, in conversations. So that's what I want to talk about in this video. I want to tell you why that happens, why that's a dangerous idea, and then I'm going to give you 3 simple tricks to change your perspective and be able to do that more effectively in this video. Let's go. Hey there guys, welcome back to the channel. If we haven't met yet, my name's Jesse. It's nice to meet you, and I help non-native English speakers like you be able to speak English with greater confidence, clarity, and control so that you can communicate better. In today's video, I want to talk about a typical kind of mindset and thinking that holds a lot of people back in their progress because it probably first isn't even necessarily true, and second, for sure, it's not important. And that's the idea of understanding everything somebody says. Oh, I can't understand every word. I miss some things in a meeting, or I miss some things that somebody said in a conversation, or I get lost sometimes and I can't follow every word. Well, we're going to talk about how that is blocking you and what you can do about that. So what happens a lot is, let's say you are listening to what somebody says, right? Or let's say you're watching a movie, or you're watching TV, or something like that. You're engaged in some English. Okay, this represents the English that's going on. And then let's change the color and show your listening of it, right? And then you're listening, and then somebody says something, your mind wanders, and you get lost, right? And you miss a word. Or maybe they say a phrasal verb that is not really familiar to you. And then you're like, what did they say? Take up? I've never heard that in this context. What does that mean? And then your brain starts thinking, take up. Oh my God, I missed it. So then, like, rather than just, I missed this, take up, right? Instead of doing that, what you're thinking is, take up. And then you think, take up. Oh, I missed it. I missed what they're saying. What am I talking about? What are they talking about? I'm lost. What are we doing? And then maybe you'll come back to what they said in the meeting, but in the end, you missed all of this. You missed all of this because your mind is thinking about take up, and your mind is really focused on that you're lost, that you can't understand, that you're going to have to ask for clarification, that your manager is going to be upset at you, that you're going to do this wrong, that your English is so bad and it's holding you back, right? You have all of these things that are going on inside of your head because you missed take up, but it's not because you missed take up here. It's because of all of this that happened afterwards. Your mind going crazy, thinking about how you got lost in this moment, right? So let me change colors here and illustrate it with something else that may have happened in your language even. So let's talk about your language, whether that's Spanish, Korean, Chinese, whatever, right? So let's talk about watching a movie. In your language, you watch a movie, and let's imagine somebody says something, or you get up and go to the bathroom, go to the kitchen, and then you come back and you pick up where you left off, or where you came back. And then you can catch up, and maybe you missed this part, maybe it's important, maybe it's not important, but you're not obsessed and focused on what you just missed, right? You just catch up and you connect the dots with what happens next, right? You connect the dots. But we have this, or many learners have this unrealistic, this super high expectation in English. Usually it's from past trauma, right? This unreal expectation, this unhealthy expectation that I have to learn every single word. And if I miss something, then that means I'm not fluent, right? Same thing with watching a film. If you're watching an English film and you miss this part because maybe you didn't go to the kitchen, maybe it's just because you missed this expression, then you spend all of this time thinking about how your English is bad, right? And you miss all of this instead of picking up and connecting the dots and really realizing what's important, right? That's what it is. It's realizing what's important and focusing on that. Because if you observe, and this is tip 1 on how to overcome this, tip 1 is observe yourself in your language. Observe how you interact, how you engage with your language. This came up in one of our lessons today, but a lot of the times we don't observe our own language. We don't observe the depth of it. We don't observe how people learn it. We just kind of like take it for granted, right? Whereas if you really observe what goes on in your language and how people interact with it and engage with it, and you kind of understand how language works more, then you could be more forgiving of yourself when you're using English, because you'll understand that I don't listen to my own language word by word. I don't worry in my own language whether I understand every word. Why? Because we understand the general context, and then we focus on what's important at the moment, right? So if I can illustrate this, and let me clear this, and let me share with you, many of you ask, why is it the eagle method? And it's generally the idea of, like, if you are an eagle and you're flying in the sky, and let's take this, the overall general context, right? And this is how I suggest interacting with English, interacting with your language. Understand that the global context is what matters, right? Can you understand? Can you follow? Then the idea is when you, as an eagle, are soaring above, you see a snake, or you see a rabbit, or you see a fish, and then you swoop down and take that. So we move this to the language context. You have this overall general context. Then you zoom in and grab what's important to you, right? A detail about what they're talking about. Maybe in a business meeting, you do have to focus on one detail. Well, as we see here, you shouldn't constantly be focused on details, because for one, that's really exhausting. That's not an efficient use of your energy, right? And number two, you can't focus that intently on details the entire time. Our brains don't work like that. We miss a lot of the information because our brains are meant to filter out a lot of not important information. I have another video explaining that a little bit more detail. I can put that up here for you if you want. But we're hovering above here, understanding general context. Then when we hear an expression, take up, and we like it, we swoop down and take it. And that's when the learning happens, right? So maybe you have to pay attention to a specific task your manager asks you to do. Well, then you swoop down and really focus on that specific part, because that's what you have to understand. All the rest of it, yeah, it's important, understand it. But the moment that you find yourself focused on what you had just missed, bring yourself back. And this is tip 3, right? Bring yourself back to the moment, right? What happened, what you missed in the past, maybe you can ask for clarification. Maybe when the time's right, you can get some special help. Maybe you can ask them to repeat because you missed it. Maybe whatever happens, but focusing on what you had just missed is just causing you to miss more information, right? So come back when you find that happening and your brain goes on about what you had just missed, just bring it back to right now. What's the person talking about now? And this goes for business meetings, this goes for conversations, this goes for watching TV and films, right? Focus on what's happening now. What can you grab now? Because one other dangerous thing about focusing on every word is that sometimes we get too close to the tree that we miss the entire forest, right? So we can focus on every word, and maybe every word is not important because maybe you know that a lot of people like to talk a lot, but maybe they don't say a lot of important things, right? So it's important to step back, get the big picture, and then really focus on the parts that will really help you get to your goals and really help you get to that next level in your company, in your English, in your communication, in your relationships, right? Focus on that and focus on the majors. We have an expression in English, major on the majors. Don't major on the minors, right? You don't want to focus intently on everything because then you'll end up not focusing on anything because you'll be fixated on your mistakes. So I hope this was helpful. I hope that you could take a lot from this. In fact, why don't you in the comments write one of your biggest takeaways or what you're going to do this week to improve your English fluency in the home or in the office. I'd love to hear that. And if you are curious about how to go more in depth in your English study and how to really master communication, master your fluency without studying grammar, without studying for exams, but really get what you need, I go really in depth in a masterclass called 3 Laws of Mastering Fluency Without Studying Grammar. I'll put that below too. You can check that out. Other than that, my time with you is finished. Thank you for watching. Keep teaching, keep learning. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.